Okay, this is a workshop, joint workshop between the Selectmen and the Warren and Finance to hear from some of the charities that have requested funds from the town of Acton for this year's town meeting. Is somebody here from the Sanford Shapley Dams?
Yes.
You want to come up to the podium? We're going to have to steal that microphone. Yeah, in order for it to be heard on the tape. The floor is yours.
All right, Mike Perro. I'm the chairman of the Sanford and Shapley Dam Committee that takes care of the dams at Melsum Lake and at Square Pond Lake, that manages those dams and sets up the maintenance schedules and protocols for capital improvements on those dams to making sure they stay in good condition and keep our waterways between your town and ours over in Shapley to keep them in good condition so we don't have any problems there. A few years ago, we established this committee to oversee this dam in a working cooperation with the towns of Sanford to make sure that the town's interest within Shapley and Acton, originally Acton was involved with that process in part of that committee. Originally the SASDC meant Sanford Acton Shapley Dam Committee, but Acton had chose not to participate at a period of time. So what we're asking for here is that because of that water body is significant in our tax base, both between Shapley and Acton, and we have a significant tax revenue that's come from that tax base, we try to make sure that that is taken care of. And within that management schedule and the capital improvements that are done there, we've asked in the past that Acton be involved with the committee, and we would still like the Board of Selectmen from Acton to be involved with that committee and to come on board and to work as a three-town relationship. But if Acton's choice is not to, then we still will move forward. We're asking that Acton at least consider for their town vote, for the townspeople to be able to make the deciding factor or make the decision to financially support the maintenance and the capital improvements that are done on those dams. Currently, this year's budget for those two dams is just shy of $20,000. It's $19,150. As it sits now, the town of Sanford pays 2/3 of that portion, and the town of Shapley pays 1/3 of it. If Acton was on board with that, then it would be broken up in Sanford paying half, and Acton paying 1/4, and Shapley paying 1/4. So essentially, what we're asking for from the town of Acton is to consider putting an article in for 1/4 of that $19,150 figure onto their warrant to let the voters decide if they want to participate in this and contribute to that to make sure that that waterway is managed and taken care of and protected as we feel it should be.
You're asking us for $6,383, and you're saying that's 1/4 of the budget?
No, actually, the budget...
That'd be 1/3,
the
right?
$6,000 that currently is there is 1/3 of it.
Right.
But we're not of the aspiration in the town of Shapley that we're going to be, it's not going to be a 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 relationship. The whole idea when we started with this program was that Acton and Shapley would pay a half combined, and Sanford would pay a half because they own it. So the 1/3 that you're looking at, that $6,000 figure, is if we were going 1/3, 1/3,
Right.
1/3. That's currently what Shapley is going to pay for our 1/3 if Acton doesn't get involved. But if Acton is involved, then it would be broken down into a 50% for Sanford, a 1/3 for Shapley, 1/3 for Acton, which, so in essence, that would be 25% of $19,150, I'm sorry.
Okay. And only $1,667 of that goes towards if the dam should have issues that it needs massive repairs in the future, right? Is that your capital plan? Is that what that's for?
Capital plan is, the town of Shapley, we put $10,000 per year into our capital improvements plan.
That you keep in Shapley?
That we keep in an account in Shapley, but we have it there as a designated account so that years ago we had some significant work that needed to be done on Melsum Lake Dam. And Sanford absorbed 60% of that. Shapley and Acton split the other 40%. So it was a significant amount of money. So our thought is that we keep enough money aside in those accounts to make sure that we can afford that without having to borrow for it. So we put $10,000 in a year in Shapley in for that. That's just the capital improvement account. Outside of that is the other figure is the annual maintenance, which is encompassing the $5,700 for the dam keeper to be able to take care of the dams on a regular basis. Contractual work and survey work is the $1,600 because the state, in their engineer's perspective, they years ago had felt that the dam might be moving a little, so there's a survey work that needs to be done every year to prove that not to be the case. We've done it for the last couple of years. It has not moved at all, but we do a program with a surveyor group to make sure that everything is staying exactly as it should. So that $1,600 goes to that. General maintenance is $1,500. $2,000 is to diving to clear the debris away from the gates on both the Square Pond and the Mousom Lake Dam. The insurance is $200, which is $100 per dam, so for the two dams. And then the taxes that are paid both to Shapley and Acton as part of the expenses for this committee for the dams in total.
If the dams were failed, does the insurance cover that?
Yes. The dams, the insurances are, obviously they're covering the dams themselves. You know, what goes on downstream, if that Mousom Lake Dam failed, who knows what would happen. I mean, we've seen roads get washed out from much smaller streams and brooks, so, right. You know, it would split the town of Sanford down the middle probably with Mousom River going right through it, so if it ever let go. So it's definitely in Sanford's best interest to keep it in good serviceable condition. They look at it from one perspective, we look at it as our tax base. Our quality of water, our tax base, that we get a significant amount of revenue from the taxpayers around the lake, and for us to make sure that that dam is maintained in a positive and productive way to keep it in the future, or both dams to be kept in the future in a good way. So we don't get nailed down the road with a huge expense. If we can maintain it better on a regular basis, we're not going to get stuck with those $200,000 bills and those kinds of things in the future. So we're trying to be proactive with this and making sure that we keep ahead of all of that stuff. And we would really like for the town of Acton to be involved. Pretty close to half of Square Pond and half of Mousom Lake is property owners of the town of Acton. So we feel that the relationship that Shapley has and our moral obligation to those bodies of waters, we feel that, you know, Acton has the same interest involved. So we would just like to make sure that this request is put before your voters so that the voters can make that decision as to whether or not to fund it or not.
Anybody else?
Yep. Of the members of the coalition, what are their town affiliations? And here I'm assuming, what I'm trying to get at here is, I'm assuming one person, one vote, so I'm trying to get a handle on the voting power of Sanford and the voting power of Shapley right now.
When we set up the committee, it was set up so that there is no balance for either entity as far as that. It's an equal weight. So essentially there are two members that sit on this committee from the Sanford Town Council and the town manager. So there's 3 votes there for the town of Sanford. There are 2 members that sit on it from the town of Shapley, as in 2 members of our Board of Selectmen, myself being one, Ruth Ham being the other. And then there are 2 more people that sit on this committee that are members of both associations of Mousom Lake and Square Pond associations. We've handpicked a member from each of those associations to serve on this committee as well, to make sure that their interests are taken care of as well, and they have a voice. Those 2 people have half votes. So it works out so that the amount of votes are exactly, they work out that both entities, if you will, Town of Shapley being the 2 Board of Selectmen and the 2 representatives from the lake associations, adds up to 3 votes, and Sanford has 3 votes. And there is the member that is responsible for the dam, the employee of the dam, and Marcel Bluen is responsible for the dams in themselves. He sits on that board, but he does not have a vote. So he is there to give us technical input, and he's there to give us reports every time we have meetings, but he does not have a vote. He's just there advisory only.
The town of, the town of Acton, or the voters of Acton on town floor would be, coming up with what their will is as far as dollar amount. So regardless of what that decision is, any funds that would be forwarded to the coalition would be, according to the fact that this is on our charitable organizations chart here, essentially a one-shot charitable donation. Would not necessarily imply any membership in the coalition, and therefore I would have to assume that there would be no change to what you were just explaining about these things. I mean, last year it was a slightly different story. We were contemplating being a member of the coalition or not. And as a member, we would have certain voting rights. And for clarity, this year, no such consideration is on the table. We're talking about funds that would be a charitable donation with no onus on either side, essentially. Here you go, have a nice day, but no voting power whatsoever. Correct?
That, if it stays the way it is right here, then that would be the case, and I would have no problem with the town of Acton putting a component in there that they be involved with this committee.
Right.
So that they have voting rights. Our goal in the beginning, and still is, to make this a three-town relationship. We would like to have it, and then at that point, it would be restructured. I am the chairman of that committee, so it would be restructured so that the voting rights are equally assembled from the three towns. So nobody has a balance there. So we would love to have Acton come on board with this committee and be, as it started out being, Sanford, Acton, and Shapley Dam Coalition, not just Sanford and Shapley. So the ultimate goal is to have an Acton being a part of this coalition with voting rights and full membership and dealing with it as we do quarterly meetings. And dealing with the maintenance and all of those issues. We would love to have that partnership go forward, and that was our initial drive in the first place. So
Now, the scenario that you propose where, so right now, the number that is being requested is 1/3 of the total funds necessary. The number that you propose being, rolling to a quarter, that would presume that there would be a three-town coalition, and then the two smaller towns would be going to a quarter each, and Sanford would be half.
correct.
My understanding of, and keeping in mind that I was not directly involved in it last year, but word has it that the discussion on the table at the time was a 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So this is a new, I would say I applaud personally the fact that, the larger town would take more of a share of the fund, of the requirements for funding it. But I think last year when the warrant was ultimately pulled by the selectmen, that the topic under discussion was essentially 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Like it apparently is now. I would assume that Sanford took Acton's 1/3 and Shapley was unchanged by that decision on the part of Acton.
I just clarify that basically what you're looking at there as a request is more of a financial statement that was sent by our, that was sent by our secretary that shows what Shapley's share is, and figuring Acton would be the same. That is not how we originally set it up and how we wanted it in the first place. I can tell you that was Sanford's wish, that it be 1/3, 1/3. But Shapley was not going along with that. And part of the negotiations when we started this committee in the first place, that's the way we worked it, and that's why it was not the 1/3, 1/3. Shapley was never going to pay more than 1/3. That's basically our final line, and we were in essence, the town of Shapley was actually taking a bigger hit originally because the taxes weren't part of this. So the town of Shapley was actually originally, the way Sanford wanted it, was to pay our 1/3 plus forgive them of those taxes. That's why the taxes are included into the operating expenses here, because they are a component of that expense. So Sanford did want it originally to be one-third, 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 but I can tell you from a Board of Selectmen standpoint from the town of Shapley, that was never going to fly. And it was part of the early negotiations, and this is the way it kind of ended up. And it's still talked about that if Acton comes on board, then they're going to be reduced from 2/3 to a half, and we're going to be reduced from 1/3 to a quarter. And Acton would have that other quarter if they choose to be involved with the process. That's our ultimate goal, that we get it a 3-town cooperation.
Right, excuse me, right now, it is roughly 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, though?
No,
No,
right
or
now,
no.
right now it's 1/3 and 2/3.
Okay, and this proposal for this coming year seems to imply 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, though.
Well, as I said, that's just that's a financial statement that shows what Shapley is paying.
Okay.
As I understand it, what the secretary had sent to you was not so much a budget request, it was a statement showing what Shapley is already paying.
Yeah, but that's what you requested,
May have
was
been
the
a-
6,383. That's what's going on the floor, is 1/3.
Okay?
That's what you requested in your letter, saying that you're showing what Acton's share would be, but that's the figure you've asked us to put forward to the
Okay.
town.
That was what the secretary had written, and he's the town manager from Sanford, so he had written that. I can tell you that, I can fully expect that wouldn't fly. And I understand that.
So if it were reduced on the town floor to a quarter, it would be roughly 4785. That would get us in the door as far as a 3-town.
Absolutely. With equal, in my opinion, I mean, again, it's a board. I'm the chairman of that board, but in my opinion, we have wanted from the start for Acton to be equally involved with this committee as the town of Shapley is. And we also have made sure that we've pursued that no funds are binding unless they've been approved by the committee. So no future funds are binding that if you're part of this committee, no future funds are binding. 2 things have to happen. One, the committees have to approve that, and it also hinges within our contract as being voter approved as well. So you're never committed to anything more than your voters approve.
Anybody else?
And to be clear, though, whatever funds are going forward, there's strictly a donation this year. I mean, if next year there are other discussions to change the mix of representation on the coalition, that would be then. But at this time, we're talking about some funds, some amount of funds that are considered to be a donation, period, and will not change the relationship that is currently on the coalition and their relative weights, I assume.
The way it sits right now, yes.
Okay, so 1/3 and then 2/3 for Sanford, who are essentially in proxy right now for Acton's 1/3, which we did not opt into last year.
Right. But and I will say, I'm going to kind of play the advocate here, being on this side of Sanford, being Shapley and Acton. I have absolutely no problem, myself speaking personally, that Acton would amend that article to state that those funds will be dispersed if Acton is involved with that committee with equal voting rights. To somebody to put that on the floor and say that you're not going to give us the money unless you're part of the committee, that works fine for me. I love to have you guys on the committee. So, and if you're not on the committee, then you keep your money. If you're on the committee, then we take it from that component. I think that's fair and reasonable. I don't expect people to give up a bunch of money for nothing and to have no say-so in anything. So essentially, at that point, the board would get together and redesignate. Maybe it would be one member from the Acton Board of Selectmen, one member from the Shapley Board of Selectmen.
Yeah, that'll have to be negotiations we can do later on, because
Yep.
what you're here for tonight is to request a donation as a charitable organization. As far as getting the town of Acton getting involved as part of this organization, we would have to go back to negotiations like we did before. So tonight, all you're asking for is $6,383 as a non-taxable foundation to get some money from us. So it doesn't include any idea of us getting involved at all It's not even, because we already had that article last year, and we chose to not get involved, but to start putting away money to repair the dam. So we started a fund last year of $5,000, and it is our intent to put that article on the floor again for an additional $5,000 this year for down the road. So as far as us negotiating to get involved, that will not be part of this question on the floor. It could be part of the discussion, but when they vote up or down, it won't have anything to do with whether we're coming part of your organization or not. That would have to go through negotiations, and then that would have to go on the floor next year. Okay, anybody else?
Before I would vote as a member of the Warrant and Finance for this, I would want some information from the town council as to whether, if we give them this money, does that put us into a liability situation if something happens to one of the dams?
No, they're coming in as a charitable organization. It's the same as if we gave it to Red Cross or anybody else. They're
Well,
asking
I
us
want
for
to
a
hear it
donation.
from the town council.
Anybody under that article is coming in as a nonprofit looking for funding, and then the town decides on the floor whether to give it to them or not. It doesn't cause any liability for the
But if
town.
one of those dams lets go, the damages downstream could be catastrophic. And that's one of the reasons that Acton didn't get involved last year.
May I interject?
Sure.
We had that looked at from our legal counsel within the town of Shapley. And because the dam is owned by the town of Sanford, they are required to carry that liability policy with that insurance. The town of Shapley, even though we contribute to it, according to our legal counsel, is not liable for it unless we show gross negligence in things that we've done to promote it or to make it worse. But as it sits, the only people that are responsible are the owners of the dam, which is the town of Sanford, and they are required to carry the liability policy for that.
You had a question?
Yeah, well, what's down the road, if this thing does break, what's happening down the road? I mean, the properties down the road. I mean, is the insurance policy gonna handle something like that? Or it's an individual?
It's an individual. It's like a natural disaster.
That's exactly why that we didn't
Yeah.
go along with that.
But it's an individual on individual people's properties when they border that river. It's no different than if the Patriots Day storm, you got floods that go, the Beaver Dam lets go. It's the same thing. Those things happen. It's a property owner's responsibility for their riverfront property if there are floods as a relationship to that.
Unless there's negligence on Sanford's part.
Exactly.
Then Sanford would be
And
liable.
that's the point, if it's negligence on that part.
Right.
If it's not engineered, if there's an engineering problem,
And that's one of the reasons why we got involved with this, to make sure that not so much what's going on downriver, although we do very much care about what goes on downriver, but that all of our lake property is protected, because if that dam lets go, we've got a little stream that's going down through the middle of Melsom Lake. And it does have a significant economic impact to both our town and yours. So we got involved with that as well in the process, so.
Anybody else?
Yeah, if the Square Pond, you just made comment about if essentially if the Emery Mills Dam was not there to hold back the water, essentially we'd have a river and tributaries. On the Square Pond, is it the same situation? Is the layout of that a little different, or if the Square Pond Dam was not there, would it just essentially turn into a river and mud flats, or
No, it's
something
very much different. Square Pond, the makeup of Square Pond is very much different in that the depths in that and the outlet of Square Pond is nowhere near as significant as the water flow goes through for the Melsom Lake Dam, so.
doesn't that dam have a backup?
And that's a smaller, Skip, he's the member of the Square Pond Association, and he's our representative on the board for Square Pond, so, Melsom, I'm sorry.
The Square Pond is basically a large culvert that's managed, where Emery Mills has the spillways, it has the culverts, it has runoff. There's no comparison. Would the Square, if they had a breach of that culvert, yeah, they'd have a problem, but it wouldn't be as dramatic as Melsom. You'd have a river going down Mousen. You still have a small pond up in Square.
But it would certainly be receding from the property owner's frontage.
Yeah, big time.
Water levels would drop, but there would still be a lake there.
Thank you. That's all I
Thank you.
have.
Yeah, thank you.
All right,
you very
thank
much.
you. Will we be able to be aware if this is actually being considered or placed on the warrant? Can
It'll be
somebody-
placed on the warrant, but then, it's a large article. We had 11 charities last week and 11 this week. All the charities will be placed under that one article, and then on the floor, the taxpayers have a chance to say, we don't want to pay for this one, or we do want to give this one, or we want to give more to that one, so it could all be adjusted on the floor.
Okay.
But all of them will go forward.
Okay, and your date of your town meeting is?
June 10th?
I haven't got a calendar yet.
That's okay, I can look it up, I can check your website, so that's, thank you for your time, I appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Bye now.
Is he the new selectman? Is he the new selectman that just came in?
No, he's been there forever.
Oh, okay.
Well, not as long as Ruth Ann, but he's
Okay, is anybody here from the Agency on Aging? Step right up.
still.
You're too young to be doing this.
Just going to say that.
Well, thank you for inviting me to come and speak to you. I actually am a current volunteer for Southern Maine Agency on Aging, but I also worked for them for 10 years before I retired as almost a senior. But the agency has asked me to come and kind of explain what Southern Maine Agency on Aging does for residents in Acton, as well as other York counties and Cumberland County towns. Probably they're best known for their Meals on Wheels program. That's actually a small part of what they do, but that's what they're really well known for, and it's something they do extremely well. In Acton, last year, there were about 622 meals that were delivered to Acton residents. They actually deliver 4 days a week, although they do deliver 5 meals, but they only do home deliveries 4 days a week. They also provide weekend meals for people who are completely homebound and don't have family to help them out. They also do a lot of information and referral. Anybody can call SMA and get a referral for any kind of problem they have. If they're looking for assisted living, they'll be referred to an assisted living facility in their area. If they want to move to another city, they can also ask for information about other towns in Maine. They also have a very strong family caregiver support program. So for instance, people with dementia, if you're living with someone who has dementia or is in the family, they have support groups in Biddeford, Springvale, Portland, Scarborough, places all over York and Cumberland counties where people can go for support. They also do a great deal in health insurance counseling. I mean, I think we're all barraged almost every single day with Medicare Part D plans and get your plan. Now, once you turn 50, I mean, you're on their list for anybody who's trying to sell insurance. So one of the things that Southern Maine Agency on Aging does is they also provide Medicare enrollment information, and they will meet with anybody on a one-on-one basis and find out, you know, what your health needs are and what kind of plan is best for you. And that doesn't even involve Medicare. There's also Medigaps, there's Advantage plans, there's Part D. So it's very involved, and they're the people that are very qualified to give you advice on that. They also have Money Minders. Money Minders is a program whereby volunteers meet one-on-one with individuals who need help paying bills or writing checks or maybe balancing the checking account. So they can't actually write a check, but they can help a person put their finances together and reconcile their statements and things of that sort. They also have a friendly visitor program whereby somebody who needs help getting groceries, a volunteer will pick them up and take them to the grocery store. They'll take them to doctor's appointments. They'll do whatever the elderly person needs. And that's at all no cost to the individual. Most of SMA's offerings are all no cost. The Meals on Wheels programs, there is a donation requested for the meal, but if the person cannot pay, no one is ever turned down, ever. They also have an RSVP program, which is a retired senior volunteer program, and I'm actually one of those people. And what it does is it gives people 55 and older an opportunity to give back to their community. And I also volunteer for Meals on Wheels because I was part of the nutrition program, and it's still very close to my heart, but it could be anything. It could be volunteering at the library or at the school or whatever, but it's a nice way to give back. And they also are the facilitators for a program called a Commodity Supplemental Food Program. And this is where this program provides individuals 60 and older with 30 pounds of commodity food items, such as dry pasta, cereal, canned meats, vegetables, and cheese. This program is income-based, and I have information on it. If you want it for your GA assistance, that might be of some help to you. And the other thing that the agency does very well is they have a senior news program, which is published 6 times a year, which offers information, dietetic information, mission statements, Medicare information, and anybody can get this. All you have to do is call SMART and ask them. So, does anyone have any questions for me?
Were you guys affected by the county?
Absolutely. I mean, I think everybody has been.
Okay.
So, SMART is doing more fundraising on their own, as everybody else has had to do. But they're also asking for $1,250. And what the census shows is that, especially for the town of Acton, in the past 10 years, people 60 and older have increased by almost 30%. So in another 10 years, you know, that figure will be even larger. So SMAR is really a referral. I mean, it should be a real good resource for us. And some of the numbers that you received, how many people we're serving, those numbers are there because those are the people that have asked for help. I mean, if there were more people that wanted services, then those numbers would be higher because no one has ever turned down.
Okay. And you're asking for $1,500?
Excuse me, $1,500.
Okay. Good. Anybody else? No?
That's it.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anybody here from Caring Unlimited? No? Saco River Corridor? Come on up.
Have some maps for you, and I apologize they're not in color. We've actually never had a color printer, and the one we borrow is broken, so. But that's just to give you a general idea. We also have a video that we created, which I'll leave for the town.
We can put it on our cable TV channel.
Oh, okay, that would be great. It's an educational video. We wrote a grant with the help of Saco River Community TV. It's directed at students, and we're distributing one to each of the 20 towns in the quarter, as well as each of the schools, the high schools in the towns in the corridor, in hopes to get kids to, you know, form a relationship with water quality and what it takes to protect it. So I'm here today asking for the $300 to help us with our water quality program. You know us as a regulatory agency, but this water quality program we do completely separate to work with our regulatory to be sure that what we're doing is working. We have 35 sites that we test from May through October every other week. The sites associated with Acton are LO11 on Balch and then just below the dam. So we test it, it's actually, a lot of it's access, so where we test on Balch is just over the New Hampshire border. But there we tested swimmability, which is 5 E. coli tests. And because of budget cuts, we do test for total phosphorus, orthophosphate, and the total Keldol nitrogen, but we had to cut that back to 3 times a season because the lab fees keep going up. We have to drive these samples to Scarborough, and then 2 of them we actually freeze and drive to UNH. So the water quality program costs us about $23,000 each year. Our main goal is to keep every town represented in our program because we feel it's important to each town to know that, you know, their water is clean, that fish can survive. I mean, once you see there's no more fish, it's a little bit too late. So if these numbers, we've been collecting the data for 11 years, if they start to shift in a way that isn't natural for the change in season, we can catch it before things head south. Balch Lake is different from most other lakes because it's half in New Hampshire, as you know, and they have quite different regulations than Maine do. So we think it's important to grab those different samples to be sure that, you know, and granted we can't regulate New Hampshire, but that Acton has clean water and sharing with New Hampshire. So we do the video. Last year we also got $23,000 in grants to replace all of our equipment. It was pretty much done. It had been used for 12 years and we mixed and matched, but with the Nature Conservancy and Hawk, they helped us replace everything, which was to us incredible. And now we have brand new equipment for here on out. And I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Anybody?
I didn't get your name.
I'm sorry, my name is Corey Lane. I'm the Water Quality Coordinator.
Corey, the last name?
Lane, L-A-N-E.
Great. Nobody has any questions? Okay, if you could give the videotape to our camera person. Oh, you got it?
Sure.
Oh, okay, I'll take care of that then.
Okay.
All right. And we'll put it on our cable channel.
Oh, great. We hope you enjoy it. And we've never made a movie before, so don't hold it against us. We're all quite embarrassed.
We're still practicing too.
But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, nobody here from Caring Unlimited? And they're due at
6:35.
6:35. Saco River is 6:45, 6:55, parent awareness. Okay, why don't we take a break with the film until somebody else comes in?
Well, you got Bob.
Bob, oh, what are you here for?
He's represents
That's,
the pantry.
food bank.
Yeah, but that's way down, that's not,
Yeah.
well, we could do it. We could do it and let you go home. No, let's do it and let you go home.
Keep on plugging.
Okay, we're gonna go to the Acton Food Pantry. I'm sorry, I didn't realize. Yeah.
Now, I'm Robert Anderson, and most of you know me from Acton Rescue, but a lot of you don't realize it. I've been working with the food pantry for the last 4 years, 3 or 4 years, helping out once a month when we hand out food. This organization surprisingly has been around since 1969. The Acton Food Pantry, it's a nonprofit organization, and they've basically been relying on York County Food Pantry and the one other food pantry there that I forgot today. You get our food from York County Food Rescue and Shepherd in Portland. Shepherd used to be over here, but they moved up in Portland. The food pantry in York County, the food that we get from them was free up until this year. The other pantry that we go to averages about $300 to $400 a month if we can buy the food that we get for the people here in Acton. Of course, now that we have to pay more at York County, most of the money that the food pantry gets from donations, and a lot of it's through the church here, which helps out tremendously, and that's where we have the food pantry. Now, we help out any resident who lives in the town of Acton, no matter what their status is. Sometimes we've had people come in who might be a contractor who's had slow business for the winter. They just dried up, and they have no money and income, and they come to us. We take care of them until they get back on their feet again. That's not a problem. We take care of many, many elderly people here. Take, for example, a lot of elderly don't like to come up even, but take the Hardings, because unfortunately they're not here, but they would never come to the food pantry. They were too proud to come, but I knew their status, and we would bring food to them because of the fact that they didn't want to come up there. So we took care of a lot of elderly that can't come up here for whatever reason, we pick up and bring to them. But if you looked at the statistics we made up, even as of last year, we had 719 people that we have fed that live in the town of Acton. Now, when you think about it, that's almost a third of the residents in Acton. 719 people that we fed. We average about 50 family members a month, and that's can change from month to month. It usually goes up, and especially during the holidays and all that, where it's even worse. Right now, we're surviving on what we have, but we don't have the funds to make it through the year. We don't go to Good Shepherd, because a lot of times we just don't have the money. And when we do go, it's when we have the money, and it averages about $325. We could spend a lot more to get out more food to the residents of Acton, but we just don't have the funds up there to do it. And it got to the point where I said, well, let's see if the town of Acton can help out its own residents by helping, financing or donating funds to the Acton Food Pantry. And I was asking $3,000, and again, that was estimate. It's a very low ball figure, because if we spend $400 or $500, which would be a good average price a month, we're well over our budget that we can even afford to do right now. Last month, for instance, because we got to pay York County 50 cents per person that we pick up food for, we didn't have 2/3 of what we normally have for food, and we just had to cut back on everybody who showed up at the food pantry. So again, I'm just here to start something new to help the residents of Acton, and that's all we take care of. Anybody comes in from Sanford or whatever, we tell them they have to go to their food pantry that they have there. If they come from another town that doesn't have a food pantry, they still can go to York County or whatever for there. We just take care of our residents here, and that's all we have enough food for. You know? So, any questions?
Yeah, you're saying you're picking up from York County. They were in last week, and they got cut quite a bit, too. Are you still going to be able to get food there next year?
Supposedly, but again, we got to pay for it, where we didn't before. And
Oh, okay, so
see-
that's new because they got their budget cut,
Right,
so now they're charging?
Right, because of the federal and state cuts, they have to charge us now, where normally we weren't charged.
Okay.
So at 50 members, I mean, it's $25 average-wise per food from them, and that's, again, minimum amount order-wise for the people. So they're charging us, and that's how they're surviving. And even then, they don't know if they're going to make it.
So that's why you've never had to come before the town before,
Right,
because you were getting
right,
free
because
food and then
between
just...
both of them now and paying food, and like I said, the other one, we pay about $300, but that's when we have the money. It's not necessarily, if we had the money, then we could probably go almost every month and stock up and supply the people with enough food to make it through. You know, but it's getting hard now for the food pantry, like any other nonprofit organization, unfortunately. But again, and it's up to the people locally, it's up to them to help out some of these people that don't want to come up for whatever reasons, or can't get up there for whatever reason. I take care of 2 or 3 myself that I deliver food to them. It behooves you, if you know a neighbor that, you know, barely making it, that don't say anything, but you know for a fact, you can come up and pick for them, you know, which is a good thing.
That's great.
Any other questions?
Is this on a monthly basis that you have that amount of people
Yes.
year-round?
Yes, yep. And like I said, during Thanksgiving and holidays, of course, we have more of them show up because we try to get turkeys, donations for turkeys or ham or whatever, and we hand it out, so more people come up because they want to feed their family, relatives, or whatever. So we have an increase during those certain holiday months. Yeah.
Anybody else? Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Robert? Just a comment to go along with this. As you guys were going through the school budget, you saw that new money we're getting from the state? And that's because we've got 40% of the kids in the Acton school system that are on free school lunch. So it's become a big problem here in town.
50%, like 52%, something like that.
Yeah.
This year.
Yep. Pretty scary. It is. Okay, do we have anybody from Caring Unlimited? Southern Maine Parent Awareness? All right, how about making it easy for me? Where are you guys from? What is it?
ASYCC.
ASYTC.
Acton Shapley.
Acton
Second
Shapley.
from the bottom.
Acton Shapley, YCC. Okay.
Vicky's at the end of the list.
Where are you from?
After.
From where?
Home health visiting nurses.
Okay.
And that's bottom of the list.
Well, yeah, but some other people didn't show up, so come on out.
Oh, great.
Well, yeah.
I mean, great for me. Sorry.
You're waiting for somebody else, right? Yeah. Yep,
Oh, okay.
That's okay.
yep, it's all yours.
And we understood what you meant.
You did.
Well, lucky day, Vicky.
I know, I think
Might as well go buy a lottery ticket when you leave.
everybody knows me, but if you don't, I'm Vicki Erickson. I've been an Acton resident for about 21 years now.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Vicki, have you met Ted, the selectman?
Well, I know Ted, yeah.
You know Ted, okay. You know Bill?
I don't think I've
That's
met
Bill
Bill.
Shields,
My
McGarrett.
pleasure.
Nice to meet you. Actually, Ted's son and my son went to Acton Elementary together.
May I have an extra as well? I'm sort of
You may.
gleaning for one member here. Thank you.
Now, where do you want me right over here?
Yeah, up at the podium, please. Thank you, ma'am.
You are very welcome. And as pardon me?
Hot seat.
What?
Hot seat.
Oh, hot seat. Well, stand. As I said, I'm from Home Health Visiting Nurses, and my name is Vicki Erickson. I'm the Vice President of Quality and Performance Improvement, so I am on the executive team of the agency. And we are, I think now we're the largest nonprofit home health agency in southern Maine. We serve all of Cumberland and York counties and part of the bordering Oxford County towns with Cumberland. And we provide full home health care services. We're a Medicare certified agency. And we provide nursing services, which include IV and specialty nurses. We have a parent-child health program, and within that program, we also have the state maternal and child health grant, which is for healthy mothers and babies and perhaps babies at risk. And the nurses go into the home and visit the parents and the infants to ensure that they have a good start in life. We also provide full therapy services, so physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy. We have social workers as well, and registered dietitians. There's little funding for registered dietitians, but we really feel that it provides the full complement of care. So we provide, if there's a payer source, we will, and a patient really needs to have a registered dietitian, we will, of course, offer that service, but any patient who is on our services who needs a registered dietitian, we have that service available because it really is a valuable service. We are about a $17 million organization. Most of our costs, most of our expenses is in salary and benefits. We have 250 employees, and most of them, the majority of them, because our administrative expenses are about 8% of our total picture. The majority of those clinicians are out visiting patients in their homes, or we have community health clinics as well. We have a community health clinic every month or every other month in Acton. I'm not sure what that schedule is now, but we provide foot care and blood pressure screening at those clinics. We also offer flu clinics throughout the flu season to all towns, but Acton residents can go to any flu clinic anywhere, and that's how we tabulate how many residents were served. So if you look on the sheet, it's the second sheet that you have. It gives a breakdown of what kind of services that we provided to Acton in 2011. And we had 61 residents were served in their homes by nurses, home health aides, therapists, social workers. 8 patients were in our maternal child and health program. And then there were about 268 Acton residents who received some sort of service from our community health program, which are the flu vaccines and the foot care clinics. We also do offer diabetes education classes at various sites, and They are taught by diabetes certified educators. And recently, I'm really happy to announce, I left my new logo over here, but we merged with Southern Maine Medical Center Visiting Nurses. That kind of went from a period of October through December. On December 1st, it was official. This is our new logo, this nice heart, you know, the heart of home care. We're very proud of it. And it's really been a great transition for both agencies. We're really hoping that will become more efficient, you know, pool our resources together, because Medicare every year has cut home care budgets by, you know, like 2.5%, and we can expect that going forward. And we don't know exactly what health care reform is going to be doing. Last year, we provided about $230,000 in charity care. And we never refuse care to any patient as long as they're eligible for the care with home care. So we use the same criteria that we would use for, you know, how a person would qualify for Medicare or private insurance if somebody needed the free care in their home. And we had asked for $1,000 last year, I believe, and the town graciously did provide us with those funds. The town funds really do help us a lot, especially to continue providing charity care to residents. And we are asking again $1,000 or whatever the town feels that they can contribute this year, because we know how difficult the economic times are. But we're very happy to be part of the Acton community and seeing patients in their home.
Great. Any questions? Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Did you need any more material?
No, I think we're good. We got the Warren and Finance and the Selectmen. I think we're all set.
Okay, thanks very much.
All right, thank you. Okay, let's see. Is anybody here from Caring Unlimited? No, we still just got the YCC? Yeah, you guys want to come up?
George Emery is the president of the ASYCC. He's going to present this information tonight. We're just here to kind of back him up a little bit.
Well, if you want to wait, we can take a break.
Yeah, well, we take a break.
Okay.
Because in case there's something he wants to bring up that he hasn't got on his
Yeah, because we still got a couple others that haven't shown up, and we'll wait till he gets here, because you're not due until what time?
7:35. but I-
7:35. Do you think he'll be here before that?
Yeah, he'll be here before that.
All right, why don't we take a 10-minute break? And from last year's experience, I don't expect to see these other ones showing up. So we'll just give you enough time to get your thing together, and we'll finish up with you. If anybody else shows up, then we'll take them on too.
Good enough.
Oh, response, if you'd like to come up to the microphone here.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your time tonight. My name is Natalie Dean. I'm the fundraising coordinator at SARSUM, Sexual Assault.
Just a little bit slower.
Okay.
Natalie,
My name is Natalie Dean.
last name?
D-E-A-N. Dean. And I'm the fundraising coordinator at SARSUM. That's Sexual Assault Response Services of Southern Maine. We're the state's oldest sexual assault center and the only agency that serves victims and survivors of sexual assault in Cumberland and York counties. We serve any and everyone, that's children, adults, elders, disabled, homeless, LGBTQ, women, men, all of the communities that have been impacted by the crimes of sexual violence. There are no barriers to receive our services. This is something we're very proud of. There's no screening, no income limits or thresholds, no time limits on how long you're eligible to receive our services, and there are no fees for anyone receiving any of our services at any time. They're all free and confidential and available 24/7. We have both a proactive and a reactive approach to sexual assault and abuse. On the reactive side, we have a 24/7 crisis and support line. Anyone from York and Cumberland County can call that number any time of the day or any time of the year and speak to someone who is trained and caring and can provide emotional support and connect them to the other resources that they need. We also have a SART team, that's a sexual assault response team. They work with law enforcement, the legal system, the hospitals, to help that victim navigate those systems if they're choosing to navigate them, and be an advocate and someone who knows what questions to ask and kind of knows what they're going through as they work through that time. We also have support groups in both for places where victims can come and meet together, and we do support groups out in the community as well. We also work proactively. This is something we're also proud of, trying to make a change for our young people as they grow up in society. We do school-based education programs. We also do community-based education and community awareness projects. So we work with kindergarten through college students. We have different education programs that are geared towards each of those age groups. Starting in kindergarten and elementary school, we do body safety and awareness, so discussing what good touch, safe touch, confusing touch is, and how to identify a safe adult that they trust. We do this with puppets with the little kids. Some are animals and some are people, and they go over very well. Middle school, we do bullying prevention, cyber safety, as well as sexual harassment prevention. And then high school, we do sexual assault prevention and safe relationships and safe relationship boundaries. We are a relatively small agency. We have a staff of 10 full-time and 2 part-time people. Our hotline is staffed by a combination of staff and volunteers. We have very, very great advocates who volunteer their time to take shifts on the hotline and take hospital calls and things like that. Just a quick word on the state of sexual assault and abuse in Maine. A recent study found that nearly 1 in 5 adult Maine residents report that they've been the victim of rape or attempted rape at some time in their lifetime. That's 32% of female respondents and 5% of male respondents. And the reported numbers are always lower than we know actual cases are. And there are roughly 13,000 Maine residents may be the victim of rape or unwanted sexual activity during any 12-month period. And we're working in York and Cumberland County, which is about a third of the percentage of the population of Maine. So that's quite a high number of potential victims or clients that they're available to provide services to. Let's see. Last year, we gave 5 presentations that 96 students were present at Sanford High School, which is where Acton students some Acton students were probably present during those presentations. We're always available to do presentations at any grade level, and we're always trying to get in more influentially in schools, as being in the schools as often as we can. In York County, we are partners. We're members of the York County Prevention Collaborative, the York County Allied Health and Social Services Network, the York County Domestic Violence Task Force. We go to the York County Shelter every 8 weeks for their wellness program, and we convene and attend quarterly York County SART meetings. Those are meetings between representatives from the law enforcement, medical forensic examiners, advocates, and the district attorney's office, so that all of those organizations and systems can learn how to work most efficiently together. In our last fiscal year, our crisis and support line answered calls from 502 individuals and responded to 85 requests for hospital and police accompaniments. And our SART team supported 188 clients and went on 93 accompaniments to hospital, police, and legal appointments. We also facilitated 31 support groups for women at York County Jail. And our education program, agency-wide, reached 6,291 students in 37 schools through 347 presentations. And we reached almost 400 people in community education, 280 people in through professional trainings. That would be with first responders, with nurses, and through outreach, we reached almost 450 participants. And we ran 152 support groups at different detention facilities, correctional facilities, youth centers throughout the year. So, we are asking for the support of $250 from Acton again, as we did last year. And I'd like to thank you for your consideration for our agency and for all the other worthy agencies that you're also considering. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Anybody?
No, good.
Thank you very much for coming.
Yes?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate your time.
Okay, I think the only one is Acton Shapley, YCC. How are you, sir?
Good evening. My name's George Emery, semi-retired sailor. Here representing the Acton Shapley Youth Conservation Corps, whose board of directors I have the privilege of chairing. And supporting me tonight are Pete and Elaine Beck. Pete's on the board, and our educational and technical advisor for years and years, and you know her well, I'm sure, Pat Baldwin. Pat's not a member of the board, but she volunteers her services to help train courtesy boat inspectors and the like, and we need that. Now, I've already submitted, of course, to the Warrant and Finance Committee, our budget request and a summary of last year, and provided 3 hard copies of our reports to the town and 5 CDs.
Yep.
However, I thought it might be a good idea to start our little single page, actually double page brochure. These things we have originally created. By the way, case is high.
Thank you. May I have one extra, please?
Do you want me to give you one of the copies? He's already given me a copy.
Is it,
Thank you.
yeah, maybe we should look at it and see whether we should put that on too. Okay,
Would make sense.
yeah, let's take a look at
It's
it.
also on our website, where we, everything that's in our annual report, including the photographs of all the projects that have been accomplished by a lot of your grandkids in this town and kids. It's quite a thing. I think you'll be pleased if you take a look at it.
So you think it was something worthwhile for us to put on the cable channel?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, great.
Okay, the very first thing that little single-page brochure answers is, who are we? We are, of course, a group of kids primarily. It's a 2-part organization. There's a board of 7 volunteers, including Peter and myself. And for another, as another example, Norm Lambert is one of our volunteer board of directors. And then we have somewhere between 15 and 18 kids that we employ, along with 3 adults from Acton and Shapley, who do all the courtesy boat inspections and all the erosion control projects for the watershed, which includes Mousom Lake, Square Pond, Loon Pond, and Goose Pond. Last year, we completed 27 erosion control projects as compared to 24 the year before. We've always been able to do 2 or 3 more because we get more efficient every year. We inspected, as you can see on here, 4,100 boats going into Square Pond and Mousom Lake, 3,100 last year. Again, efficiency, programs. We have Amanda Loomis and Pat Jackson, 2 college graduates who we hire to be technical directors and assistant technical directors of these kids. The oversight, as I said before, is provided by our 7 directors. The funding sources include both the towns of Acton and Shapley, for which we are grateful to you. And a golf tournament, which we sponsor every year. Last year, that was a very worthwhile project. We netted just about $12,000 at our golf tournament last year. And of course, private donations and the state. We've been very fortunate every year to get support from the state. Last year, we received the largest donation we've had from the state, which was $4,000, and we've applied for that again this year. And since our numbers are even better this year, and since the state has singled the Acton Shapley Youth Conservation Corps out as an example, an exemplary youth conservation corps that should be emulated in the state, I don't think we'll have any problem getting that. Now, what hurdles do we face? I face one major financial hurdle, and of course...
Can you speak up? I have a bell above me here.
Certainly.
Thank you.
We face one major financial hurdle, and that's, we're still waiting for, and we expect to get the other $11,000 that the town people of Acton agreed to provide us last year. $11,000 has been provided, and we've been told we'll get the other $11,000 in April. If that happens, Shapley's already funded $22,000 for 2012. Our request to you is for $22,000. If these are the same values as we've asked for previous years, if that happens, our total budget, which is roughly $68,000, will be met, and we'll do everything we did last year, this year, and I'm sure we'll get just a little more in. Any questions you may have? Ma'am, sirs, I'm ready to answer.
You don't do anything with Wilson Lake, huh?
No, we don't, sir. What we are solely related to the Mousom Square Pond watershed. And we pick people in Mousom, in Acton and Shapley to do these jobs.
Are you going to be hiring kids this year?
We already hired the same erosion control team as we had last year. Everybody's coming back, including our team leader. Great kids. We've also hired 2 other alternates who've not worked with us before, because you have to be careful that everybody doesn't become a senior, graduate from high school, and you have nobody with any experience left behind you. We have all but 2 of the same courtesy board inspectors that we had last year coming back this year. We're doing formal training for them this year. By formal training, I mean we're having a classroom training. We're going to sit down in the Shapley Town Hall. We have Shapley Emergency Response Team going to provide training. Last year, the Acton Emergency Response Team did that for us. That is arranged with Pat and with a lady, Marcia Letourneau from Square Pond, and between them, we're going to have all that training done, let's see, the 25th of May. That'll be our first day. That's Nancy Dean. Nancy is another one of our board members. She's also from Acton.
Anybody else? No? Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you for
Thank you.
listening.
Thank you very much.
All right. We have several that have not shown up, but their times are way past, so I'm not expecting them to show up. So I suggest we adjourn.
Are you sure there's...
Vote for that?
Huh?
Vote?
Nope, we don't need one.
Just a workshop?
Yeah, just a workshop. All right, we're all done.